The backstory is about a relationship between the applicant and her father, who manages a small business in New York under the backdrop of COVID. Can you use COVID and other overused narrative? Yes, you can use it if it's truly tied to your identity, or it was a catastrophic event, or it was an event that defined your career. In that case, going back 6 years to talk about an event that has been overused makes sense. So what's the story here? Now, if you're coming from finance, private equity, venture capital, investment banking, one way to address stereotype is to not disagree with the stereotype, but to kind of subtly agree to the stereotype. So what's the most common stereotype about private equity associates? Like, they are ruthless. They squeeze the profit out of every underperforming assets. They take loans out on the assets. They have no regard for the community. They have no regard for the welfare of the customer. So this is the common impression. So what do applicants do? What they do is that they try to start with an essay where the first line is all about why that impression is wrong. And don't do that. There's a different way to build a story. You are agreeing to that impression, but then by the end of the essay, you're showing that, hey, I've changed after this experience. And you can't manufacture this narrative. Obviously, this should have happened to you. You might have explored a few ideas that were purely profit-driven. It might have given you great, amazing results in the short term, but in the long term, you might have realized that there is a better way to optimize a business. So this is what you have to express through your 300-word. Please reflect on how your choices have influenced your career path and aspirations. I start the essay with a dialogue. Now, this is the most overused form, so you have to be very careful in using such lines unless you want to create an intrigue about the moment where this event was taking place. So what did I start with? Did you sanitize? Did you wash your hands? Don't allow that gap in your face mask. So we all remember this moment. Like, anyone who has gone through the pandemic remembers this moment. We were all paranoid. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't know whether this small gap in the mask would kill us. Everyone was paranoid. Even the slightest movement that indicates that you're going to cough would have really triggered anyone around you. So that was the moment we were living through. In 6 years, we have forgotten what we're going through. So you have to bring the reader to that moment. Now, how do you do that? You capture dialogues from that moment that summarizes what we're going through. Collective panic in society. So what was that collective panic? Did you sanitize? Did you wash your hands? Don't allow that gap in your face mask. So this is how you show a collective panic. Then you introduce the second character. My father was rigorous with all the safety standards when COVID-19 hit. I am creating a character profile of the applicant's father through 3 dialogues. Did you sanitize? Did you wash your hands? Don't allow that gap in your face mask. Then I'm introducing the character. My father was rigorous with all safety standards when COVID-19. So in 2 lines, I'm capturing that moment in 2020-21, and I'm also introducing the character in the second line. Then I'm offering more context. As a supermarket owner employing 13 New Yorks, and I'm offering a little bit more context. The number of people the applicant's father was employing, where it was, New York, and what were the constraints. My father couldn't just shut down the business. Now I'm introducing some constraints. Don't build up your story endlessly with a lot of backstories without introducing some kind of conflict. Applicants tend to introduce a lot of characters because they're hoping that by introducing 1 to 3 characters, they can quickly transition to a moment where there was a conflict. You don't have to do that. The conflict here is not between multiple characters. The conflict is the situation the applicant and her father was in. So as a supermarket owner employing 13 New York, my father couldn't just shut down the business. Juggling between sales falling by 80% in March 2020, integrating new payment systems, and managing the inventory, he was struggling. I'm introducing external factors that is affecting the applicant's business. Instead of just offering a lot of background information, I'm bringing the focus back on the main character, that is the applicant. Now, there is a big risk whenever you introduce a secondary character. Here, the secondary character is the applicant's father. Now, the next paragraph, I'm offering a lot of context about the applicant's father. Sales, integrating new payment systems, and managing the inventory. He was struggling. Now, if I had continued with the secondary character, the attention of the reader would move away from the applicant to her father. So I have to bring the applicant back to the story. And how do I do that? I sneak into the city. Now, again, I'm talking about the secondary character, but it is through the lens of the applicant. Instead of an eager business person, I saw a frail old man desperately fighting the virus. Now, it's very clear. We have introduced the external challenge. We introduce what was happening in New York to her father's business, what was the constraint, integrating your payment, and the health crisis, right? Instead of directly going into an hero mode, this is another mistake I've often noticed applicants doing. Like, once they establish the problem, they immediately go into a problem-solving mode in the narrative. Instead of expanding on the problem and building up the story, applicant worried that they couldn't offer a lot of context with 250 to 300 words essay. I am now introducing the power of community. So from the moment he was diagnosed, his closest friends and loyal patrons took turn cooking meals for him. I am showing the support the applicant's father received once he was diagnosed with the virus. This is good, right? So can you see the W pattern here? W pattern is simply taking the story from one up to one down. So what is the down? So I don't have 500 words to play with, so I'm straight away going for the down, right? So if you look, did you sanitize? Did you wash? It's all going down, right? Something bad is going to happen. See, my father couldn't just shut down, so it's going down. Instead of an eager business person, I saw a frail old man desperately fighting the virus. So the story is going down. Now I need to offer some relief, one sentence at least, so that the reader relaxes a bit. Now, how do I do that? From the moment he was diagnosed, his closest friends and loyal patrons took turn cooking meals for him. Now, there is some positive story there. So the reader is a little bit relaxed. Now, don't allow the reader to relax too much. Then they will lose attention. They will lose interest in your story. I have to bring the story down again. So look what I'm doing. On the 11th day, he looked worried and shared that he was seeing people. I recognized the hallucination. So again, the story is going down. Now I can't again take it down. I have to bring it back a little bit. So the next line is, from the busboy to friends to patrons, the coordination helped us admit him to the hospital name. See, I'm bringing the story back up. In a day, he gained the strength to talk. Story is up. Even through the muffled sounds behind the mask, I emoted my confidence in his recovery. Story is going up. He smiled and breathed his last. That is the shocking half of the sentence. So I am kind of using a pattern subtly. It was not pre-planned. It just flowed like that. So if you pre-plan this kind of W pattern in your story, it will look forced. So don't do that. Once you write 3 to 4 iterations of the same essay, you will kind of understand how to place your sentences. And this will not happen without reaching the 5th iteration of your essay. Then you will have a structure to your story. Then you can introduce this kind of swinging sentences. It goes up and down. So the moment he was diagnosed, took turn cooking meals up. He looked worried. Down. I recognize the hallucination a little bit up. So there's some rescue that's going to happen. From the busboy to friends to patrons, the coordination helped us admit him to positive news. In a day, he gained the strength to talk. Another positive is going up. Even through the muffled sound behind the mask, I emoted my confidence is recovered. Again up. He smiled and breathed his last. That's it. So that's going down. The story is coming back to the applicant. The next week was a blur. Now it's all personal. Next week was a blur. I could see his stamp of approval on the wall painting, the color of the tablecloth, to the choice of the cutlery. I also experienced the overwhelming love for my father and what he had built. Father has passed away, but there's something that the applicant wants to say. I brought in a partner. He funded the restaurant as a portfolio company. For the first time, I added the Community Love Index, CLI, to the deal evaluation criteria. This is a made-up index, obviously, but at least the applicant's perspective is changing. How will the reader know if the applicant changed after this event? So that's not revealed immediately. If you reveal immediately, then it will look cliche. You can't say that from that moment I realized the importance of community and of... No, you hold that. You should offer that conclusion that community is important in any business, but don't add that line immediately after the tragic event. Don't do that. You wait it out, build more context, offer backstories. So when we introduced takeout and socially distant eat-out options, I saw the regulars promoting our offers on social media and offering generous tips to our waiters. They own the brand. I was just a transitionary guardian. The applicant saw the love for the brand, the love for her father, and she's concluding that she was just a transitionary guardian. So that breaks all the stereotypes about a private equity associate in this particular example. For that, I had to choose the right example, the passing away of her father. I have to build up the story, what happened, what was that moment that led to the person's death. Then immediately, there is no then I realized, no, I have to offer a bit more context about why community is important. And then the applicant is concluding with, now in all my PE deals and volunteering, I obsess and measure CLI, a made-up metric obviously, a tribute to my father's 20-year journey of building an enduring brand. Now the admissions person realized that the applicant is a little bit different from other applicants who are also from private equity. So this is what you have to do when you write an MBA essay. You have to structure it. So to recap, I start with the dialogue. This is the most common way to get attention, but don't use cliches. You have to make the reader think, take them to a different time and era. Did you sanitize? Did you wash your hands? Don't allow that gap in your face mask. We all know what the writer is talking about. But for those who don't like guessing and who wants an immediate resolution to this suspense, we have to use an explicit statement. My father was rigorous with all safety standards when COVID-19 hit. So I'm offering an explicit statement. Some reviewers don't like this kind of build-up. If it's too much build-up without an explicit statement, they don't like it. They lose interest. It feels like a novel. I have to be more explicit with the backstory in the second paragraph and bring the story back to the applicant, not the secondary character, that is the father. It's all about the applicant, what she did. It's not just about the father. Father is teaching a value through this experience. That community is extremely important for a business. And that value is what the private equity person is adopting for her other businesses. And this is not explicitly stated. It's there in the resume as well, because she had to intervene in a lot of funding where it was much easier to just discontinue the product. But she went to the field, interacted with the customers, and recognized that even though a certain product was not profitable, it was extremely important for the community. So we had captured that in the resume as one entry. So this story supplements the entry in the resume. So you have to look at your resume and think, okay, what story can I offer in the essay so that the admissions person recognize that I'm not just listing some random achievements in my resume. I have a story to back it up. So this is how resume and story go hand in hand. I hope you got value from my Harvard MBA business-minded essay workshop, The Power of Community. You can download F1 GMAT's Harvard MBA essay guide from store.f1gmat.com/Harvard-MBA-essay-guide. If you want to work with me, Atul Jose, subscribe to F1 GMAT's essay editing service at stores.f1gmat.com/essay-editing.